Netflix is not going to beat the accusations that its upcoming adolescence show is pure propaganda. The company has made the show available to schools in the United Kingdom for free after it has been accused of being an ideological assault on Western identity and memory. Roll this up over at fandompulse.com. I encourage you to head on over, become a paid subscriber. We have tons of articles over there every single day, usually putting up between 10 to 15 articles a day. And I'm only covering about 2 to 3 here on YouTube. So if you're not over there on Fandom Pulse, being a paid subscriber, you're missing a ton of articles covering all kinds of different topics surrounding pop culture and the culture war. So, Netflix's vice president of UK content, Anne Mensa, announced that it was allowing the show to be put into schools for free in the United Kingdom. She said, "Adolescence has captured the national mood, sparking important conversations and helping articulate the pressures young people and parents face in today's society. We're incredibly proud of the impact the show has made and are delighted to be able to offer it to all schools across the UK through Into Film Plus, which is some kind of streaming service that broadcasts in UK schools or works with schools in the United Kingdom. As part of this, Healthy Relationships charity Tinder will create resources for teachers and parents to help them navigate the important topics the show explores." Keir Starmer, I think that's how you say his name. It's a weird name. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom added, "It's an important initiative to encourage as many pupils as possible to watch the show. As I see from my own children openly talking about changes in how they communicate, the content they're seeing, and exploring the conversations they're having with their peers is vital if we are to properly support them in navigating contemporary challenges and deal with malign influences. This isn't a challenge politicians can simply legislate for. Believe me, if I could pull a lever to solve it, I would. Only by listening and learning from the experiences of young people and charities can we tackle the issues this groundbreaking show raises." It's interesting because I think this guy just announced that they were banning ninja swords, thinking that that was somehow going to change the issues that they're having over there. It's likely that they will just find a different weapon to use. It's not going to solve the problem. Even if you remove everything, you're still going to have the violent crime that is running rampant through the United Kingdom. And from what I'm seeing, stems a lot from people who are migrants into the country, not from the native population. So clearly, this guy is trying to convince people that a certain demographic is the cause of it. You can clearly see this is who they made the villain, this 13-year-old white kid. And what's interesting is we'll see here that the co-creator says that it was based off of real crimes in the United Kingdom, and many of them are committed by migrants, typically from the Middle East and Africa. So, but if you're not familiar with the show, it is the most viewed English language show on Netflix for the past 2 weeks, both globally as well as in the United States and in the United Kingdom. You can see that right here. Adolescence is number 1 on Netflix's Tudum here. I'm not sure why they changed up their ranking here. You used to be able to see, they have it here now. So you can see 24.3 million views, 93 million hours viewed, runtime of 3 hours and 50 minutes. Number 2 for the week of March 10 to March 16th. And then if we go to this current week, March 17 to March 23, you can see it's also at the top, 42 million views, 161 million hours views. So increases there on both of those metrics. And then I'm not going to go into it, but you can see as well, it is top in the United States and the United Kingdom if you want to go through that over there. You can find that link, obviously, on fandompulse.com. And according to Netflix, the series tells a story of how a family's world is turned upside down when 13-year-old Jamie Miller, played by Owen Cooper, is arrested for the murder of a teenage girl who goes to his school. Co-creator Stephen Graham told Netflix one of his aims was to ask what is happening to our young men these days and what are the pressures they face from their peers, from the internet, and from social media. And the pressures that come from all those things are as difficult for kids here as they are the world over. He then talks about how the show was inspired by real-life incident. He said, "There was an incident where a young boy allegedly stabbed a girl. It shocked me. I was thinking, what's going on? What's happening in society? where a boy stabs a girl to death. What's the inciting incident here? And then it happened again, and it happened again, and it happened again. I really just wanted to shine a light on it and ask, why is this happening today? What's going on? How have we come to this? And that is why he decided to basically change the race of the character, because he really, really wanted to ask, why is this happening today? What's going on? No, this guy wanted to shape a political narrative. He wanted to work with the government of the United Kingdom to buttress their various policies that are literally turning the country into the new South Africa. That's what it looks like, at least to me. And in fact, you have co-writer Jack Thorne. He actually reacted to the news that the show would be used in UK schools, saying, "We made this show to provoke a conversation. We wanted to pose the question, how do we help stop this growing crisis? So to have the opportunity to take this into schools is beyond our expectations. We hope it'll lead to teachers talking to the students, but what we really hope is it'll lead to students talking amongst themselves." So literally, really happy that it is now being used as propaganda in schools to these students. The show has been accused of being part of a calculated ideological assault on Western identity and memory by culture pundit Chad Crowley. As part of a larger discussion about Netflix's Cleopatra, Crowley said, "It is part of a calculated ideological assault on Western identity and memory. This is not about correcting historical inaccuracies. It is about rewriting our heritage to serve a modern agenda." And this isn't something that is exclusive to Netflix. Well, the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm have doing this for a number of years now as well. One needs only look at what Kylo Ren says in The Last Jedi as their basically one-sentence manifesto: let the past die, kill it if you have to. That's exactly what we've seen the Walt Disney Company, Netflix, a lot of these major Hollywood studios do. You can even see it with Amazon, MGM Studios, looking at things like The Wheel of Time, looking at things like The Lord of the Rings, and they are clearly going out of their way to rewrite these stories, change these stories, even the fictional ones, let alone the ones that are based on the real world. They're rewriting these stories to push propaganda, affect cultural change, but not only to affect cultural change, but more importantly, to buttress the government's policies, as we're seeing with this show. Obviously, Keir Starmer, the United Kingdom, passing that ban on ninja swords, and then all of a sudden, this show happens to come out to talk about the violent stabbings, right? And they just passed this law banning ninja swords that they're trying to say is the cause of many of these crimes. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to rewrite this history to serve this modern agenda. Netflix, like countless other propagators, is just one small cog in this vast machinery of deception. When these lies pile up, they reshape perception, slowly turning blatant falsehoods into accepted truths. This is how a distorted reality is constructed, one lie at a time. If you've been following this channel recently, you know that I talked about what former FBI counterterrorism expert Tim Clementi has been saying. He discussed recent surveys about high school students and how Hollywood has reshaped their view of the world, specifically talking to how these high school students view the LGBTQ people, the number of LGBTQ people that, or people that identify as LGBTQ, because they see so many of these people in video games, in movies, in televisions, etc. The surveys are coming back thinking that there's like 40 to 50% of the entire world buys into this disordered, degenerate lifestyles. That's just not the case. Not the case whatsoever. That does not quantify reality. And so we see that this is how this stuff works. People are heavily influenced by movies, television, video games, and it is reshaping their reality. And obviously, it's not just movies, television, video games. Social media is doing that as well. And anyways, Crowley goes on and says, when history is weaponized, the goal is not only to control what people think, but to control who they are. The myth of Cleopatra as a black woman is an attempt to sever the link between us and our ancestors. It erodes the understanding of our true identity, distorts our collective memory, and weakens the connection between past and present. Similarly, when the race of murderers, which is what happens in this adolescent show, is deliberately altered in the present, it becomes another tool in this ongoing process of demoralization. The narrative is twisted, undermining our values and eroding our societal cohesion because they're lying. It is a lie. Lying erodes our values. It's a rejection of the truth. And he correctly points out here, all of these lies pile up and they reshape perception. And that is why I constantly am harping on the gender ideology movement and why it is so evil. Because not only is it lying at something that is so core to us, whether we are male or female, but it literally tries to emotionally manipulate people through this false empathy, this false compassion into getting us to buy into the lies of these people that are lying to themselves with the pronoun stuff. It was like, you need to make me feel better about myself by lying to me. And it's like, no, we cannot embrace this stuff. We have to reject this. We have to run to the truth, run away from the lies. And that is when we will actually get back to a sane society, is when we re-embrace the truth. And the truth is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He is the truth. He tells us he is the truth. And when you're close to him, and you'll see this, the people that are closer to Jesus Christ recognize a lot of the ills of society and are better able to see it. They have eyes to see, ears to hear, etc. If you're paying attention, you will see that. Anyways, Crowley goes on here and says, it's a deliberate effort to erase the real history of our civilization and replace it with a fabricated narrative that caters to ideological needs. This is something that Thomas Sowell has talked about. He has an entire book called The Conflict of Visions, where these people, these ideologues, they literally have a vision that is not in accord with reality. They get to positions of power and they try to enact that vision. I think the most obvious example is what you saw in the Soviet Union with the communist takeover. They tried to enact their communist utopia, and what did they actually create? They created a graveyard. They created a graveyard with millions and millions and millions of people dead. That is what they did. And obviously, not only did they use this idea of communism as this utopia, but I think at the end of the day, these people are also servants of the evil one, and they were totally fine with killing millions and millions of people as well. And that purpose wasn't actually to create a utopia, but it was the death and destruction of those people and the snuffing out of life. So this is not simply a battle over facts. It's a battle over our cultural roots. It's the stripping away of our heritage in favor of a convenient, politically driven narrative of inclusivity and diversity. Cleopatra's legacy, like all great historical figures, must be understood with the context of her time. To distort her story to serve the political needs of today is to sever the bond that connects us to our past. When that connection is lost, the very foundation of our identity crumbles. This is why the battle over history is not just academic, it is existential. It is existential. It is a fight for our survival. He then concluded saying the video below is utterly repulsive, sharing a clip from Adolescence. The people who made this should feel nothing but shame for their actions, but they will not because they know exactly what they are doing. They are trying to convince you that you don't exist. And obviously, Crowley is not the only person to talk about this. Jack Posobiec has talked about this as well. He says, as the culture war rages on, Netflix's latest British miniseries Adolescence emerges as a stark example of progressive media's unrelenting assault on white males, hailed by leftist critics and politicians as a must-watch exploration of modern societal ills. The series is, in truth, a thinly veiled piece of propaganda designed to demonize young white men and vilify masculinity itself. By twisting real-world data, race-swapping perpetrators, and scapegoating conservative online spaces, Adolescence reveals not just a bias, but an agenda, one that seeks to guilt-trip white boys into submission and silence the growing resistance to woke ideology. At the heart of Adolescence lies the story of Jamie Miller, a 13-year-old white British boy accused of murdering a female classmate. The series pins his alleged descent into violence on exposure to the manosphere, a nebulous term for online communities that challenge feminist orthodoxy and celebrate traditional masculinity. The narrative is clear. Young white males radicalized by figures like Andrew Tate are a ticking time bomb, primed to unleash misogynistic havoc on society. This premise, however, crumbles under scrutiny when juxtaposed against the reality of knife crime in the United Kingdom, the very issue the show claims to address. Britain has indeed seen a staggering 80% increase in knife attacks over the past decade, a statistic cited by critics of the progressive narrative. Yet Adolescence conveniently ignores the inconvenient truth The vast majority of these crimes are committed by minority and migrant males, not white boys from working class families. High-profile cases such as the 2023 murder of 15-year-old Elian Andom in Croydon by a black teenager, of the 2024 Southport stabbings by Axel Rudakabana, a 17-year-old of Rwandan descent, underscore this pattern. Official statistics reinforce it. Black individuals, despite comprising just 3% of the UK population, account for 16% of homicide suspects. Meanwhile, youth knife crime is overwhelmingly linked to gang culture, broken homes, and socioeconomic despair, not the red pill movement or anti-feminist YouTube channels. By casting a white boy as the villain, adolescence engages in blatant race swapping, rewriting reality to fit a narrative that indicts whiteness itself. So Poso goes on and just lambasts Netflix, lambasts the show, the creators, etc. Talks about how the culture war isn't over, as some claim. It's intensifying, and adolescence is a desperate salvo from a losing side. Leftist media facing funding cuts and dwindling influence clings to such projects as their last gasp, hoping to guilt trip the public into compliance. And I think we're going to see the desperation continue. We're going to see more and more shows like this trying to brainwash people with this propaganda. And obviously, based on the fact that so many people are watching it, so many people are being exposed to it, and so many people are likely being manipulated by it. But this is a show that is very dangerous. You should not watch it. It is also an example, though, of how to identify the propaganda, the cultural manipulation, and the agenda that these companies are engaging in, and to be wary of it for ourselves moving forward, because at the end of the day, we're not going to be like the Desert Fathers and avoid all of this stuff. We still have to operate within society, and we have to continue to work against this stuff, continue to oppose it, continue to call it out, and continue to offer alternatives to it. And it's not really that hard to offer alternatives to it, because the truth speaks for itself. And we're going to see more and more people, I think, creating movies, television, works of art, video games, novels, comic books, etc., that will begin leading people back to the truth. I'm reading one of them right now. It's absolutely fantastic. Isaac Young has a great novel called The Domes of Calrathia. Highly, highly recommend it. And I think we're going to see more of this kind of moving forward. I feel like we're already seeing a little bit of it. I think the House of David show over on Prime Video is a good example of that. I even think Terminal List over there, we're seeing movies like A Working Man, which also, interestingly enough, is by Prime Video as well. And obviously, I don't think everything that Amazon is doing is great. Look at Lord of the Rings, look at Wheel of Time, etc. Look at The Boys, but you can also point to things that they are doing well. And I think, and then just look at the rise of Angel Studios, and you can just see The Chosen I think it was like number 2 or number 3 at the box office this weekend as like a premiere. So we are seeing the rise of alternative media that is going to compete with these Hollywood propagandists. But just wanted to bring this to your attention, because I think this show is obviously wildly popular right now, but extraordinarily dangerous, and we have to talk about it because of how influential it can be. And we have to oppose this stuff that is clearly trying to push evil ideologies on to people and mass propagate them. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.